All right, and we're live. So now we're recording. This week is for our Thursday training. We are doing Branding 101. So we're doing a business challenge and a branding challenge, like a mini challenge thing where we just did the um, business plan portion of it, and now we're moving into branding, which is kind of a huge topic and not one that can be really comprehensively covered in a 30-minute training video. But I wanted to give some pointers and touch on the main things and then answer some specific questions if you guys have any. But as far as branding, what does that even mean? Like, what is branding? It's a word you've probably heard, and we talk about like your brand or other big brands out there like McDonald's or Netflix or whatever, where you see a logo or you see even a font, like Samsung has their own very specific font, their own typeface, and you see those things and you identify with their brand. And I think a lot of people just think that way, the visual side of branding, logo or colors or things like that. But that's such a small portion of what a brand is and how you communicate a brand message. So I want to talk about the other elements of it. Um, Even logos, I mean, you really have to have a very specific idea of who your target is before you can even develop a logo or pick your colors or anything like that. I'm actually going to be posting in that mini challenge a little graphic talking about the psychology of color in branding, because there are certain colors even that elicit a specific emotion or attract a certain type of person. And so even picking what colors you're doing is something that's very intentional. And if you look at Posh's brand, they are very specific and very intentional with um, every bit of the visual representation of their brand, but also all of the other elements of their brand. Posh is a really, really good example of a solid brand. They're very clear and clean and direct in their brand message. Um, I'm sure if I asked you some specific things about the Posh brand message and what they want people to know about them, you could probably come up with a list pretty quickly. Things like, you deserve to be pampered. That is a um, Posh brand message that is pretty clear. Um, so you deserve it. You deserve to be pampered. We simply pamper. They're very focused on the simplicity of their products. And that same simple simplicity thing is also kind of carried over into the visual representation of the brand. If you look at the Posh marketing, their graphics that they put out, the fonts and the typeface that they use, it's very clean. You don't see super busy graphics unless it's an intentional promotion of a specific thing. And even when you look at some of their sub-projects, like the You Deserve It Foundation, or when they launched like the Tickled Pink stuff, or the Dapper Dad, or you look at some of the other Day Away, PremierCon, those kinds of things that have their own marketing campaigns, you still see the same brand elements threaded throughout those other marketing campaigns. So they may change up the colors or play with the fonts a little bit, but the same kind of feel is there. It's still very clean, very professional, very fresh, very fun, because that's kind of Posh's brand. They're not a super serious brand. They don't try to cater to like the high scientific type of thing. Like if you look at some of the other brands, you can see very specific people they target. Yeah, Rodan and Fields was actually ones that popped into my head. There are some that target very specific people, and their literature looks like that. Their literature is going to show, sorry if you can hear my kids yelling in the background, their literature is going to show, you know, studies that they've done, or how the specific ingredients work on a biological level. They can do a whole lot of education presentation in their marketing materials. Exactly. It feels like it's a doctor's office, which is fine, but it can be overwhelming to like an average layperson. And I think that that's so true. And I think that that's where Posh has really done well in their branding. Well, they do put out like a what's inside brochure that tells you the main ingredients that are in there and what they do and the benefits. They still make it look really pretty, and they still make it very simple. They break it down in terms that are easy to understand instead of giving you all of the scientific background information, citing the 4 independent peer-reviewed studies, and then the statistical possibility that this is going to work for XYZ skin type, or you should use this system for XYZ. We don't do any of that. We do not diagnose things. We don't treat things. We simply pamper. And in some ways, I feel like that gives us freedom as consultants, to not feel the need to have every single detail down or every single fact or every single scientific study. So we're able to connect with people and have fun with people and just be simple and just say, hey, I am not here to cure your problems, but let's pamper you because that's just going to make your life a little better in general. Um, and I love that that is the Posh message because that's easy for us to get behind and it's easy for customers to get behind and understand. And then you also made a good point, Rebecca. Like their stuff does look interesting, and I've tried it, and it's really good. The quality is great. It's very, very good, high quality product. There's not the same variety. There aren't the fun scents. So it definitely is attracting a different person. It's much more clinical and not so much a fun pampering experience. And it's a lot of money. And so with Posh, we're getting an experience, and that's really what their brand message is. It's not we're going to cure a problem. It really is we're going to make you feel good. We're going to make your life feel better. And so that's it. We want people to feel like they're treating themselves to something and that they're getting something special and pampering. And then we're affordable, which also helps. I mean, we're not drugstore affordable. Like we're not gonna be able to do, $6 Skin Delicious, but our products compared to a lot of other brands in the same spa luxury space in the marketplace, we are very affordable, which gives us a huge advantage also. So I think that Posh has done a really good job, clearly defining the Posh brand. So we know key points about Posh. We know that they are fun, that they're simple, that they're focused on women, that they're focused on pampering and creating a positive, fun experience. They're focused on empowering women. They are focused on just fun, light, simple, feel good. That is Posh. And then visually, I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I have never owned pink in my life before joining Posh. I am not a pink girl at all. But if you look at my wardrobe now, I'm busting out black and pink everything. So black and white and pink and polka dots and even fun things like, zebra stripes or glitter or whatever. Those still kind of fall within the realm of the Posh brand. Um, and that's because their brand is really focused more on the everyday woman having fun and having a good experience and feeling empowered and strong in herself. So those colors kind of speak to that. And so, yeah, and again, same with Arbonne. I think a lot of skincare, actually, you're going to find more of that clinical approach. And that's the target they're trying to hit is to come in as a medical or clinical authority and say, hey, our stuff is created by world-class dermatologists and we can solve all of your dermatological issues and here's our skincare lines for each different type of skin and there you go. Where Posh, while we do have an incredible product development team that absolutely has all the same credentials and is very, very skilled, really their focus from a branding perspective isn't the same. So you can put us side by side with pretty much every other skincare company out there, and we are going to be the simple, fun ones, despite the fact that our product development team has all the same credentials as these guys. That's not the brand message they're trying to put out there. And it's fun because they focus also on like flexibility and being able to create your own custom thing. Like you get to choose what works for you. Try a bunch of things. You don't have to buy this exact 3-step system to get results. You can get this cleanser from this line, and then you can grab whatever mask looks interesting to you, and then you can try one of these moisturizers over here. So you really can create your own experience, which again comes back to the Posh brand. And so it's important for us to understand the Posh brand and understand who they're targeting, um, and know that we fall within that overarching brand, right? So we are a part of Perfectly Posh overall, and we want to be representing their brand um, responsibly in the marketplace. We want to be lining up with what they're branding, um, which actually benefits us because they've already established such a good brand. So use what they're already giving us. Like, that's awesome. But I think what we miss is that despite the fact that we have the amazing Posh brand, we're also a brand personally. You have your own brand. And that, I think, is what we miss as independent consultants. And so that's really going to be more the focus of this call. If my kids are getting too loud, please tell me, and I can go shush them and make them be quiet. Um, so, our brand as independent consultants, I think it's what sets us apart. So, people can go to any Posh consultant they want, and they can join Posh under any consultant they want. So, what makes you different? What makes them choose you when they could choose Sally or Sarah or Becky over there? Your brand. Your brand is what does that, especially as you start expanding outside of your warm market and you're no longer really heavily involved with just friends and family. Once you start drawing in people from their circles and their circles out from there, and you end up with people that maybe are 3 degrees separated from you, you've never talked to them before in your life, they're going to need a clear experience with your brand. And so we've started talking some in the branding thing about what is your brand? What is your brand personality? Let's talk about some of the adjectives that describe your brand, because that's going to really dictate the tone that you use in all of your posts. Some key buzzwords that you're going to want to use in your posts consistently. We've talked about hashtags in the past and about using not just a hashtag that has your brand name in it, but also a hashtag that communicates your brand message. So like our group, the Perfectly Posh Power Team, I could put hashtag Perfectly Posh Power Team, and I do. Um, but I also put hashtag Empowered Together because that's our tagline. That's the message that I want potential teammates to see when they see us out in the world or out in Facebook land. I want them to see that we are empowered together. We believe that we can accomplish more as a team, as a unit together, and we can build each other up. And I want them to see that unity in that relationship because I think that's what sets us apart as a team, as a Posh team. There are other Posh teams out there that maybe don't rely so much on all of our other teammates working together and going in there and supporting each other on our Facebook games or posts or whatever. Um, I just feel like that's kind of the trademark of our team is how well we really work together and care about each other and want to see each other succeed. And yeah, with doing our team shirts for Dayway, like we want people to see that we're a team. We want people to see that like we are together, we're a unit, we're a family, and we're in it together. I wish you were going to Dayway too, Rebecca. I'm going to 3 at this point. I don't know how I'm going to swing that, but I'm going to try um, because I really want to meet people. So it's kind of fun if I can swing it to get to all 3 of the ones that I have tickets for, so that I can meet the most amount of people from our team as possible. Um, but yeah, so we're talking about brand and brand consistency, and so um, personal branding I think gets overlooked a lot. We just stick out the graphics or the blurbs or the sales and promotions that Posh gives us. Maybe we play a few games in our group or post a few inspirational things. But it's not necessarily a clear brand message. It's not necessarily a very intentional and focused brand message. I think sometimes we just post to try to get engagement, or we just post to be sure that they have the information that just came out. We also need to be thinking about how we're wording those posts when we post them. If we're just posting what Posh says, I mean, we're sharing their brand still very clearly, but we're not really setting ourselves apart or differentiating ourselves from other Posh consultants. So when you go to post a new thing, so let's say we're posting about a feature of the week product, and let's say that it's the Healer Stick this week. They'll give us a little blurb about the Healer Stick and how awesome it is and what it does, and here's the link to buy, and here's a pretty graphic. Use all of that, okay? I am not saying don't use it. What I'm saying is at the top above that, like above that little blurb that Posh gives out, maybe you say, I fell in love with the Healer Stick when I saw what it did for my son who fell off of the couch and busted his head open. And oh my gosh, I thought he was going to have the biggest scar, but less than a week later, you could barely even tell it was there. I love this thing. I will never be without it again. Then put the little Posh blurb and your link. And when you share a picture of, the graphic they send out of the feature of the week, also post a picture of you with that product. Or of you like just holding up the product, just a real life picture. Even if your face isn't in it, if it's a real life picture, statistically it is proven to draw in more attention and more engagement from other people. So you just want it to be real. People want it to be real and personal. Oh, my daughter is joining us on the call. Hi, baby. Come here. We're on a call right now. Do you want to say hi? Can you say hi? Say hi. See all those people down there? Yeah, there she is. Okay, go with Daddy. I'm almost done, and then I can come get you. All right. Sorry about that. Real life, y'all. She hasn't had her nap yet, as you can tell. So, what was I even talking about? Brand message, setting yourself apart, all of that. Yeah, okay, that's right. And the product. So on product, things like that, you want to be sure not to just use the graphic in the description given to you by Posh. Be sure to share a personal, even if you haven't used the product yet yourself, say, hey, I've been dying to try this product. I actually haven't gotten to try it yet. Maybe I'll grab it now that it's on sale because I've heard that it does X, Y, Z. So you don't have to have personal experience with everything in order to still share personally about a product. So that would be like my thing. Stay personal. Be clear in your brand message. So I will share some about my brand message, but then I'm going to ask some of you who are on the call to talk a little bit about yours. So my Posh with Kylene branding, I've been pretty specific. My brand is really focused on making sure that women know how much they deserve to care about themselves and to remember that they matter. And I want them to feel good and to feel special and to feel strong and to know that they can get through anything. So that's really what my brand message focuses on, is that message. So you're going to see a lot of my posting really focused on that. So even if I'm posting about the Healer Stick, I'm going to share like why that helped my life, why that made it better, and how I want it for them. Like I want them to experience that too, because it can improve your life. And so that's really what I focus on when I'm doing it. And so if you see in my VIP group or on my Instagram or my Facebook business page, you're going to see a lot of inspirational and motivational things. I'm always trying to speak positivity into people's lives and just make them feel good, because that's what I want. And that's a brand message, is what does a person feel when they interact with you or your brand? What do they feel as they're walking away from that interaction? And for me, I want people to feel like they matter. I want people to feel like they can get through anything and they're special and that somebody got them today. And so that's really my brand message. And so if you haven't given it much thought, I would recommend doing that. What do you want people to feel? And so, yeah, see, I've seen that you do that, Rebecca. You do really kind of post your own blurb in addition to what Posh gives, and that's really, really important. Rebecca, are you able to get on your camera and your microphone real quick? Because if you are, I would love for you to share a little bit about um, what you do as far as your brand message. What is your brand message and personality? Who are you trying to talk to? What do you want them to feel? That kind of stuff.
Um, oh dear. Okay. Can you hear me okay? So I guess, well, like my brand message, like my name is Rebecca NYC Posh. So like the city um, that I'm in is part of my name. So that's kind of like appealing to a younger demographic. I post lots about like I don't have any kids, and so now that I'm not trying to get moms, or I'm trying to like maybe like the 20s, mid to late 20s, early 30s kind of crowd. And I always look at Posh's breakdown, and it's trendy, it's on trend, and it's in between, and it's for an urban setting. So I try to be very informative, but I know it's very overwhelming and very expensive going into lots of like makeup and boutique and skincare places. And I mentioned Roden Fields and Airbon because there are lots of reps in the city who sell those products, and I'm not trying to diss those, but it can feel very antiseptic. So I try to make Posh feel fun and accessible, but also very conversational. So in terms, I'm really about graphics, and I really love the color thing because embarrassingly enough, I teach a whole unit on advertisements and using like pathos, ethos, logos, kairos. You do a whole Greek rhetoric unit in when I teach. And I have a really cool graphic I'll post in P3T of colors and how gray is like someone sagacious, and blue is fun, and green is green, literally. Like you trust the company that's green, yada yada yada. Um, so I guess my brain message. I try to be there. I try to be very accessible. Um, it's who I am like as a teacher, so I try to bring that into what I do for Posh. So really personalized comments and feedback. Um, so yeah, so personalized comments. So I'm doing like what Kylene suggested in terms of posting non-salesy um, posts. So I'm a big dog person, and everyone's posting like, oh, they're kids, and I'm like, I have fur babies. So I'm gonna do fur baby things. Oh, I kind of do lots of Mondays are tough. I thought it was really funny, like the Monday Lisa post is like Mona Lisa, but her hair's like all over the place. It's like Monday Lisa. So it's kind of tongue in cheek. I am a very like neurotic, fast talking person. So I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is my super zen product. Like, oh my gosh, we just need. No, I'm not like that. I'm like coffee, dropping my keys, running out the door kind of person. So I try to have lots of humor in the group. I posted something about like how often do you like lie about hanging out with your dog? You can get out of like hanging out with your friend, and like and tons of people like commented. I got so much interaction of like I like my dog better than my coworkers and like fun stuff like. So it's kind of like that. But I think my biggest thing, and I'm still thinking about this in terms of the actual imaging, um, but being really accessible and being very personalized. Yeah, it's Margaret, trust me. I have terrible handwriting. I handwrite all my thank you notes. I handwrite all my sample stuff because I want them to feel like this is who I am. Like I'm not the neatest, most organized, perfect back, but like that's not. So they're getting someone who's like fast paced, kind of like neurotically quirky, city, handwritten notes kind of person. Um, so that's like not always. I don't know if that's. And I see some people's beautiful offices, and I'm like, oh wow, like I want to be that kind of posh consultant. I'm like, I'm really not that posh. Like I'm not gonna have every little thing. And I look at and Kylie's like, your samples are gorgeous, and mine are like, hope you love them, like hard shove, like I'm dropping packages in the way the post. But um, so that's so image wise, I'm not gonna make like a messy graphic and be like, you're a mess with Posh. But I do talk about how Posh is like my survival kit at work. I just did a post today about like gum because I had coffee breath, and I had old lip gloss, and I had all gussied up. And of course, it's like I'm thinking about marketing because all gussied up is like getting you tired. But having like a coffee cup with like a messed up straw and like a pack of gum is also who I am at work. So I'm not trying to be like I only have this perfect Posh desk. No, I don't. I had like this crumpled pack of gum next to my all gusted up, next to a retired chapstick, a retired Posh balm. So I'm like, that's kind of who I am at work. So I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not. You know what I mean? Um, that's kind of my message, and it's part of the name. Like it's my name, obviously, but I have a super common name, so having the NYC helped. It's also my Instagram handle, and my Instagram talks about Posh, but also pets, reading, the city, and movie watching, which are like kind of my favorite things. So I incorporate all of that in my Instagram, not as much as I should, because I'm like not the best at Instagram. I'm trying to get better. Um, but like through Facebook, but I got caught in a rainstorm today, so I had like a frowny face photo, and I was like, "What TV show would you like to most be caught in?" Because I'm caught in a diner right now, so I guess I'd be caught in like Alice or something like that. Um, which no one knows about that show anymore. Um, but then people like I would be caught in Sherlock, I'd be caught in Downton Abbey, and someone who I haven't talked to in like in months is really interacting with some of these posts of like my crazy like weird urban life of like I can't walk home in the rain, so I'll do a selfie of me in a diner. Or what would so it's kind of like who knows? I'm kind of a mess. I know Margot's keeping notes, and she's like, okay, be a mess. I don't know how to put that nicely for the rest of our team.
No, but you are so right. Okay, so you touched on some things that I actually think are essential um, to branding, and that I think we all really need to be aware of. So your brand really should be you. It should not be some fake, ingenuine thing that you think people are going to want or you think people are going to be attracted to. Your brand needs to be you. It needs to be real. It needs to be authentic. Like you're Rebecca Posh NYC. Like, and I know that. And if I do, I go to your Instagram or whatever and I look at it and I see your shenanigans in the city. Like I see you living this urban life and hanging out with your dogs and movies, and I see that. And so I feel like I know you. A good brand should make your customer feel like they know you. A good brand should make them feel like they connect with you and like they understand who you are um, as a person. And they assume that it's, the same as like that's who you are. But really, a cleverly crafted brand message is the same exact thing. Exactly. It's so different from different lifestyles. Exactly. And I feel like, again, another good thing about Posh is that it really does appeal to every person. It isn't made just for one person. Like when you think of some of the other kinds of, not even just skincare brands, but if we look at any kind of brand or direct sales, I think it's very geared towards a very specific demographic. But if we're looking at Posh, I mean, yes, it's geared more towards women, so we're going to go with women, I would say. But they do have stuff for men, and their stuff can be used for children, and it can be moms, or it can be single women, or it can be old ladies at bingo, or it can be women living in the city, like it can be anyone, like country girls, like it can be anyone. And so I feel like, hey, Margot's bingo team, man, her bingo ladies, that's her bread and butter. You really do cater to them. Heck yeah, I know. That's why I use that example. It really can be anyone, and that's like the whole point. So we have a lot of latitude as far as how we can present ourselves in our personal brand, because I don't think that anything you do is going to have, be a turnoff to someone who is attracted to Posh, because most people who are attracted to Posh, I mean, it's a very, very wide range of people that are really into it. Um, Let me see. Margot's asking, so my branding is somewhat related with my breath. I say this lovingly. But I also do try and target rescue folk because of the cruelty-free aspect. However, I'm not entirely sure how to go about it because we're cruelty-free, but like my dogs. I'm not sure what you're asking. Exactly. Could you rephrase the question? Because I'll try to answer it. How do I use my dogs with a product? Okay, gotcha. All right, now I get what you're saying. So yeah, like you can't use the products on your dogs and be like, hey, look, it actually works on them, which actually it really does. We just can't say it because we are cruelty free. We're not supposed to, I mean, we don't test on animals, we don't do any of that. So they can't say it's safe for animals since it's never been tested on animals. But yeah, I've totally used Healer Stick on my dog and it worked so well. And I would love to be able to tell people, oh my gosh, you guys, Healer Stick is amazing. Or the Gender Bender totally got my white dog who had turned herself brown by rolling in the dust after her bath. I stuck her back under the hose with the Gender Bender and a few swipes of the Gender Bender and she was totally clean. Exactly. Yes, I would love to be able to tell people that. But I can't really because then we could get in trouble for it. And yeah, so that's kind of tough. That's hard. I think, as someone who I'm reading the chat box, sorry. As someone who has puppies too, and I have used it on them, I mean, people are allowed to use their own discretion and decide whether or not to use something on their animals. Um, but we can't really talk about it because if we say that we use it on our animals, then it's almost like we're promoting that. Even if we say, hey, I'm not promoting or suggesting that you should do this, but it worked really well on my dog. If we put it out there that we use it on our dog, people are going to feel more comfortable using it on their dogs, and then it's almost like we've promoted it. So it is hard. I would say, kind of like what Rebecca is saying, like, take a picture of them sniffing the product and like or trying to attack the box when you get it. Like my dog used to love those peanuts that came in it. And so anytime I would open a box, she would come running because she loved the peanuts that came in the box. And so I think I did. I put up a picture of her trying to jump in the box of peanuts. Um, but you can do that where she's smelling the product or if she's sniffing the Skin Delicious or if she's trying to lick it off your face. I've seen you do those kinds of pictures, Margot, where Moo or Pearly is like licking your face. And that's a great picture to put on there to use your dogs to show how much the animals love them too. So yeah, another great suggestion from Rebecca. Have her around looking cute while you're using it. Even just product placement or brand placement, you just stick the dog in the picture with you, and it still keeps that dog message. And then you can also, yeah, are you tired from taking your dog to the dog park or, did you get dragged through the mud while your dog ran off after some other dog at the park today? Like whatever. Um, I came home and took a nice hot shower with this and I scrubbed with this and I feel so fresh and clean after using this. Um, you can just bring them in that way without showing them using the product. You just have to get creative with it. But definitely use them because especially I've noticed on Instagram because I post about my dogs sometimes on Instagram too, and I notice I get a whole lot more interaction and a lot of likes when I post about dogs. So use that to get some traffic on your social media pages so that they're interested in hearing about your posh stuff when you post about those too. And that's actually another point that Rebecca made briefly when she was talking about her Instagram. She doesn't just talk about posh. She also talks about her life in the city. She talks about going to movies. She talks about what she's doing, like who she's hanging out with, the excuses she's making to not have to hang out with people. I mean, she's posting about life, and that is the whole point of social media is to post about your life. And so your brand, while you're talking about your life, should be reflective of your brand message. So Rebecca's brand message is kind of the fun, accessible, conversational, kind of neurotic, crazy, but really cool, fun girl. Like that's her vibe that she's given out with her brand. And so all of her posts then, her language should kind of reflect that. Her language should speak to the experiences that fit within that brand image, and then share that. So Margot, how do you do that consistently, social media and branding? So consistently, you're not going to be consistent if you're not posting enough. I mean, really, this is something that's a skill that you learn over time. and it's something that you learn through practice and repetition. And so if you're not on there posting, I mean, yesterday or the day before when I did the training over in Pamper Squad, I said 5 posts per day. That's a minimum, and I know that that's overwhelming to people because 5 posts a day sounds like a lot when you're barely remembering to post once a day. Um, but set an alarm on your phone, do something, but plan it out on Sunday night what you're going to post every day of the week, and then just schedule it even. You can schedule posts on Facebook where on your Facebook business page, or you can get one of those apps like SynchShare or whatever where you can schedule posts and then it just posts them at whatever time you set them to post. So you don't even have to be there for it to post it. But I would recommend 5 posts a day minimum. And you want only 10% of your posts to be poshy. The other 90% of your posts need to be lifestyle and connection and relationship and trying to get to know them and letting them get to know you. Should not be sales or promotion based whatsoever. And it's that 90% of posts that you're going to be able to really share your brand message and communicate to them what you're trying to make them feel through your brand. Margot, no, because SynchShare is not, it's automated posting, but you're writing all the posts ahead of time. It's your voice, it's your personality, it's your brand, it's your pictures, it's everything is you. You're just posting it ahead of time. And so I would use that to, yeah, you should give it a try because it's not just like an automated message that's sent out. You have to write in the posts that you want it to share at certain times. So it's still 100% you. It just frees you up from having to remember all the time to post consistently. So the way I've seen it used best is using that to kind of frame out your day. Maybe schedule your 5 posts on something like SynchShare, where you have your 5 posts for the day that are 4 of those are communicating your brand through lifestyle and interaction and relationship, and then 1 promotional poshy post. And then outside of those SynchShare posts that are going out on a schedule every day, get on there and interact. Answer the comments, respond to questions, post other games, and do other things outside of that framework. That's really just to get your bare minimum posting out there so that you can get some posts going consistently out to your customer base. And then you obviously it's not a like hard and fast rule. If you want to do more than that, you can do more than that. So then by all means, please do go in and post in between that other things, or as things come up on your Facebook wall, be sure to share those in your group or whatever you want to do. Um, exactly. I think people get the wrong idea about these automated posts and think that it's very cold or mechanical. It does not have to be. It's still completely you. All that it does is it frees you up to not have to remember to go in there and post every day. So then you could just go in and post when you feel like it and be spontaneous and have fun. And exactly, the customer does not even know that it's an automatic post. They assume that you're just online posting something because you're still going to keep those posts conversational. You're still going to keep those posts fun and interesting. You cannot tell which one is being posted live at that moment by the consultant or which one came from SynchShare. You don't know. The more that you post, Margot, in your group, the more you will start to see engagement. And it's going to take time if you've already created a community where there isn't a whole lot of interaction. It's kind of like turning the Titanic. You know, it's going to be a complete change in momentum and direction, and so it could take time, but you've got to be consistent about it, which is why I actually really would recommend at least 5 a day in there, 10 if you can swing it, where you're really starting to generate some movement and some interaction in there. And enlist us to come in there and interact with you. And honestly, once you have a clear brand message, people start interacting with you more because they have a better idea of who you are. They're going to feel a lot more comfortable with you and excited about you when they have a clear picture of who you are. When it feels like it's just somebody throwing posts at a wall and it doesn't make much sense, you're not going to get much engagement. It's kind of confusing for the consumer. And so you really want to be consistently getting things out there that are in line with your brand. And so you really want to be intentional about that. And yes, your brand has changed a little bit, Margot. Your why has changed. And I think that when that happens, mine has too. And so when that happens, we have to make adjustments and we have to make sure our branding is consistent with what we're telling people now instead of just leaving things up that we put there when we first started. It gets very confusing to the customer when they're seeing things that aren't consistent. So it's an evolving thing, and it's going to be evolving the whole time you're with Posh because our lives change and our priorities change and the things that matter to us change. And so we need to be staying on top of that and evolving with that and communicating that with our customers as it's happening. So exactly. Any business evolves, and our non-posh jobs change, and our life situations change. We get married, we have kids, we get a new dog, we move, we take a new class. Like our lives change, our experience, our knowledge base, our emotions, everything changes, and so naturally our business is going to change too. Our posh representation is going to change because we change, and so we need to kind of move along with that. It is 5 p.m., and so I have to get off this call, but I do want to kind of recap some specific things about branding really fast. Be consistent, be sure that you're clear about what your message is, and your brand message is what people feel when they leave with you. Who are you, really? Come up with a good list of adjectives that describe who you are, who your brand is, like what Rebecca did right there. I would recommend going back and watching that part again where Rebecca talked because she explained who her brand is, and it was really, really good because you don't have to fit a certain mold. You don't have to fit what you think the posh lady should be like. Your brand needs to be you. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be real. But you do have to have a clear idea of what that is so that you can communicate it to people consistently over time on all of your venues and all of your social media avenues. So branding is just who you are, who your brand is, what you want people to feel when they interact with you, and how you bring that message to the marketplace is marketing. And we can talk about marketing another time, but I really do want to focus on branding. This week I'm going to be putting some different activities and graphics and things up to get you thinking about who you are, who is your brand, and how can you communicate it more effectively. And so Rebecca, if you could share that color graphic you were talking about, thank you. That would be awesome. And I'll share the one that I have too, and then I have a couple of other things. Yeah, if you could do it on the P3T main page and also in the branding mini challenge thing too, that would be awesome. But feel free to ask any questions you have underneath this video so that we can keep talking about it because I feel like we could talk about this a long time. But I do have to get off here because it's been an hour. But I want to talk about it some more because I think it's so important. And I think once you have a clear brand message and you're knowing how to communicate that effectively, it's going to really set you apart and you're going to start to see more engagement and interaction in your groups, on your pages, on your Instagram. And eventually that interaction leads to sales and team members, which is what we want. So let's talk about it on the group. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. But thank you guys for joining in today. And I will drop some info in the comments and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.